Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's September 16th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And you can see we have what looks like a reversal day here. It didn't quite close on its lows. We closed it a little off that, but it does look kind of like a topping action that you would see, even if it could just be a correction before it goes higher. But we are in the upper overbought territory, so we could see a correction back to retest the midline here. Notice normally when you push through something like you'll pull back and test it just like we did here. Notice when we came through and came back, we pulled back and tested there. Uh, we pushed back through here again and we have not come back and tested it. And that's pretty common to come back and test something like that. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow, make sure you catch this. If you're tomorrow is going to be a huge day. It's a FOMC rate day, rate announcement, and who knows what's going to happen. They're expecting a cut of some kind, and I think the market's already probably priced in some kind of cut. And if they get it wrong, if the market's gotten it wrong, this thing could go haywire tomorrow. So just be aware of that. Be flat an hour before that news comes out. It could be a dud. It's rare that the FOMC uh, announcement is a dud, especially when you're expecting a rate cut of some kind or some kind of change in the rate. But we'll just have to see what tomorrow. If we do get the rate cut, this thing could go to the moon. I mean, I just don't know what to expect, to be honest. But one thing I can tell you, just be flat so you don't get surprised. Because even if you get it right, it's going to probably uh, break in both directions at first, and you're going to get probably, unless you're trading huge stops, you're going to get wiped out anyway. And why risk? Just don't risk that. It's not worth risking it. So wait till that settles down, and then when it settles down, usually if there's a big jump, the market will take it back within an hour. Um, or sometime before that day is over, and it'll kind of reset and start over again. It just kind of erases those emotional moves, and doesn't mean that'll happen tomorrow, but that's pretty standard what usually happens. So just be aware of it, and we'll see what tomorrow brings, and just be prepared. But it's definitely going to be a big day. Um, I do expect some fireworks, but I'm just that's just a educated guess based on experience of what we've seen in the past and what we're expecting. So just be aware of it, and we'll see what happens. So anyway, we're still in the overbought territory. We haven't got to the top. We definitely haven't got to the top of the range yet. So it wouldn't surprise me if we don't see a little correction and then reversal and still continue higher. Or we could just continue straight up. This might have just been a kind of a rest day as people wait to see what happens tomorrow. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I do know that this market has continued to trade higher. So you can see this is probably the biggest correction we've had right here, and since early April. Had a little bit of a correction here. Uh, Hardly any here. A little bit here. A little bit here. A little bit here, and but we keep marching higher. And you can kind of see that we're in a spiking channel here. So we still have room to the upside, both with the bands. Even though we're in the overbought, sometimes it'll push higher, especially if there's room in the range. Or the channel, I'm sorry, the upper side, and there's still plenty of room here to go higher. So we'll see what happens. Just be aware of that news tomorrow. You can see it's kind of a sell out. We sold off and then just kind of worked sideways for the day and closed slightly higher. So it looks like a possible reversal day. So just be aware of that, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. But let's flip over to the 2,000 tick chart. Take a look at it, and we'll go through the trades. Not a lot of trades today. There weren't a lot of setups on the way down on the original channel till late in the channel. But there's a few trades, and let's just flip over and take a look. Okay, here's our chart, and you can see we had this big sell-off, close outside, move to a new low, and we actually tried to go lower one more time, and we're really just working sideways here, and even here we pulled back up. There's probably a bigger channel in here. It's not real consistent, but it's probably something like that. Again, it's not super consistent across there, but that gives you something to at least look at there and kind of get in the right ballpark. So notice we did push lower here momentarily, but we got right back in here and just kind of stayed in that range for, and actually it may be a little lower here based on this afternoon stuff. So we do catch it right across there, several bounces. So that probably looks more accurate there. And even over here, now I think that's going to probably be correct at the highs. A little failed breakout. But there it is. We had this big sell-off here, but we just didn't really get many setups. Let's zoom in here. We had the 7:30 news, retail sales. So you need to be flat on that. It didn't last very long, didn't affect the market much, but you had to be flat on that. And then we trended back up, close outside, and move to a new high, and it turned down. You get a nice triple test here, but you don't get a setup. There's a lower high here, but you don't want to go short right into all of that support across there. We just kind of got back in that channel before it broke lower. And so you can't really trade that. And you never want to go short at the low of a move. Even though it went lower, that's never a good idea. As you can see here, if you'd have went short at the low of that move, there's two legs back and you get burned, and that's what will happen to you more times than not. There was a triple test here too. That just looks sideways and congested. You just can't go short into that support. But it does break lower. Now, I didn't mark this trade. It's a possibility for a long, but we're in a downtrend here, and there's no break of this channel. In fact, the channel ain't even been confirmed. We're still trading strongly in what looks like a channel. And there's enough price action here to clearly get a read off that midline. And you can say we came right back to it with two legs up. And unfortunately, there's no, if you had a good signal bar here, by all means go short. But you can see it's too bullish, and you can't use this one. So there's just no setup there that's safe. We move on down, and then you get another two legs back. This time, you get a good signal bar, and you can clearly see there's a leg up, close outside, second leg up, and right off the key entry point, go short right there. Moves down, comes back, and you get another triple test and another second entry short with this nice signal bar. Again, go short there. Two easy ones before 9:30, and it might be all you need. And then we bounce. Again, I would not go long here right into the trend line because you can clearly see it's been confirmed multiple times. This is clearly a active channel, and once we get a break, we're probably going to get a retest and a new low. And you can see that did happen. Took a little bit of work, but it happened. So we actually bounce here, close outside, move to a new high, and it turns down there. There is a triple test there as well. It's a second entry short. There's a triple test. It's not a perfect signal bar, though. I think it's mostly bearish, so maybe you go short there. I marked it green. I think if you took that, if you know you're being a little aggressive, I think you're probably fine there. Just know that you're a little aggressive. And then, of course, we work down. You get a second entry long here, but you can't trade that. Don't trade that stuff. Just sit tight. We still don't have a new low yet, so don't be trying to pick a bottom here. It's too congested and sideways, and too many small-bodied bars. Comes back, gives you a lower high, but I think it's moved too far to trade it, and so you just kind of have to watch this one. There is a second entry short here, but again, it's just too close to these lows. And I think you got to sit tight. It would have worked, but I think you got to sit tight. Then you get another two legs back once again. I didn't mark this one because we just came off what looks like a double bottom and maybe even a failed break lower. But you might still trade that because you get the break, a new high. The signal bar is questionable, But maybe you trade. That's another one you could argue to be green. It is right off the midline, but that's the middle of a range is never a good idea or place to go short. And maybe it doesn't quite. Maybe you don't quite see the range yet, so maybe you just kind of you might have been able. You might have overlooked that. But the middle of a range is never a good idea. But it is two legs up. You got to close outside a new high, and I don't think that closing is lower 1/3, but it's close, so we'll give it a green. And if you took it, it's a great move, but you're just being a little risky there. And of course, it does make a new low now, so you've easily got 3 swings to a new low, way away from the EMA. Maybe you enter here on, again, you're better off to wait on a higher low, so I mark this green, and you just don't get a higher low. We move all the way back up, and you actually get a close outside and a new high all in one. It turns down once again at that midline. So again, maybe you enter there. It's just a first entry though. But there's reasons to consider entering there. So I marked it green as well. But then it makes a higher low and comes back and gives you what looks like a double top there. And so that's a lower high and a second entry short. And so I like going short there. There's another you could actually even call this a second entry short. Technically, by the counts, this is not, but you can clearly see 2 legs because technically there's a second entry short there with that higher low right there. But on a bigger picture, I'd still consider that a second entry, and I'd still take that as a second entry. But it comes back, and even though there technically is a new swing low that's lower than that swing low. So you could count this as a second entry. I didn't mark it, but you could argue for that to be green if you see that as a second entry and understand what's going on there. There's plenty of room to get out. We already have a new low in place, so there's no guarantee. Okay, sorry I had a little interruption, but you may take that trade, and I think we were talking about this one. Yeah, you may take that trade. Runs on down and actually breaks lower here, comes back, pulls back, gives you a bounce right off that support with a nice bullish bar. I like going long there. You're going to retest this high even if you're going to go lower again. And it runs up and gives you 2 legs up. Now you got a second entry short turning down right off that resistance area again. Nice signal bar, close outside new high. I like going short there again. You get a close outside new low. I didn't mark this one, but you don't quite get a new low in there. But there is a triple test, and it is a second entry long. So again, you could argue for that to be green, and maybe you take that. I wouldn't be afraid to take that trade. It's not perfect because it didn't make a new low, and it could turn back down here. You see it attempted to make that low, but it just went higher. So and of course this is just too choppy here. Now we did come back and bounce and turn up, but this bar is just way too big. I mean, it's only 12 ticks, so it's not huge, but for today it's a really big bar, so I think you're taking a lot of risk on. It is a second entry, but there's no close outside and new low yet or anything like that. So here you get your close outside. It doesn't quite make a new low, so again, I don't know if you want to go long there on that. And that's not a second entry. The second entry was here. And you can see why you don't really want to go long there because you're still in this down channel. Here, at least you're making a higher low. There is room to get out back up here. I believe there's room. Let's just check it. But I'm not crazy about it. You see there's not quite enough room there. It doesn't matter. It ends up going higher. But, I mean, maybe you take that one. I'm willing to give it a green, but I think you're better off to skip it. I don't think you have a you're kind of in the middle of this range here, and it's never good to go long or short in the middle of a range because you can get whipsawed. So your idea is you want to get long down here and short up here with a good setup. You don't just look to buy anything down here or sell anything up here. You got to have a good setup, and that's just not a good spot to enter. So it doesn't matter. It wouldn't have mattered. It ends up going higher. And there's actually a second entry here. It's the first closeout step, but there's just not much room to that double top right there. We've already kind of broke higher than what we have been. So I don't trust it. And you can see it didn't go very far before it turns back down. So I don't think you want to go long there. That looks like congestion to me, honestly. And then it turns back down here. No setups here. You're working down. Close outside. It tries to make a new low, and you end up we're bouncing off that support again. You might argue that's a triple test. It's a decent signal bar. Uh, it's not an ideal perfect triple test, so but maybe you go long there. I gave that one a green too. And it takes it a minute, but it ends up going much higher. And again, there's just nothing to trade here. We get the close outside, but we never make a new high, and then it just sells off, and there's no setups to get short there at all that I like. So, I mean, this is a signal bar. It doesn't count. Now, you got a 2-bar matching high, but that signal bar doesn't count. It doesn't qualify either. And when you get late in the day like this, you got to be very choosy, because if you take a loss right here, you don't have time to make it back. Now, if you're over here at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning and you take a loss, you got all this time to make it back. But if you take a loss right in here right before 2:30, you don't have any time to make it back, and it's going to ruin your day. So you better make sure you're taking a good setup if you're going to take a trade right around 2 to 2:30. It's just, I mean, I don't know any easier way to put that than to make sure you don't want to take any greens or anything like that. You want to take a sure thing. And you want to be absolutely sure that you think it's a sure thing, not just, you don't want to roll the dice in any way. So there it is. Just pretty much a range type day for 90% of it, because this started around 8:30 or so, and it just went across all day. Most of your sell-off came early. So anyway, that's how I saw it. Tomorrow's going to be I think we're just kind of setting up for tomorrow to see what's going to happen with the rates, what they're going to announce, and we'll see what happens from there. But it's could be a crazy day. It could be a dud. My guess is there's probably higher probability that it's going to be a crazy day than a dud, but we won't know till tomorrow until 1 o'clock when the news hits, and we see what happens. So just be prepared, be flat an hour prior. You don't want to get stuck in anything. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. But anyway, I hope you had a good trading day. This was not an easy trading day, really, from about 8:30 on, because it's just sideways congestion and mixed trading, and it's just hard to trade this stuff for the most part. So there's a lot of greens in there, and there's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's really only 5 decent trades that I saw. The rest of them are all green. So not an easy trading day. And these are the kind of days where you just have to sit and be patient and not try to force trades or push anything. And when it gives you one, you have to take it, because you may not get another one at all, or you may be a while before you get another one. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. It'll be exciting to see what happens tomorrow, but I'm going to wrap it up for today. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.